Let's go to the back door.
Wait.
Hold on.
Wait.
Come on, Daddy.
Lay up here.
Where's Santa?
He go home. He go back home.
What?
Not a problem.
Kêu đóng cửa lại nha, tại có con 7 giờ tới thấy nha.
Okay.
Nào.
Nhét dao.
Hello.
It'll stay out.
Xin lỗi Điệp ba. Đi rồi nói cái đồng cào đấy rồi.
Thấy đừng còn đường gãy nữa thôi.
Leave my trash in here. Okay.
Now let's go.
The real one? Wow, beautiful.
Front door. Got it.
I got it.
Merry Christmas! How are you guys today? Are you excited?
Yeah!
Why?
Can you guys come?
No reason, just excited? Okay, close enough. Let's go in. Shall we? Fortunately, the bag is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. Well, come on in, guys. How are you now? We need to get more excited. Can we sing a song to get excited?
Yeah!
What song would you like to sing? Jingle bells. Jingle bells. We'll try that. Come here. You help me. Help me jingle the bells, will you? Is there someone else that'd like to help too? All right, come on. 2 of you guys. Yes, it is. And every reindeer has one of those. Well, it's cooled at 10,000 feet. Flying in. Okay, ready? Jingle bells,
Jingle all the way.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! All right. But you know something? I don't ride in a one-horse open sleigh. What pulls my sleigh?
Deer.
What kind of deer?
Reindeer.
Reindeer. And you guys know a reindeer sort of song?
Rudolph.
You know Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer? Can we sing it? Well, if we're going to sing Rudolph, we need to look Rudolph. Sure, with red noses. Like this.
Okay. Maybe the clown. Yeah, the clown. How do you put it on? How do you put it on? Like that. It's slipping off.
Put it real tight. Yeah. There you go. Now it's working.
It's slipping off.
Good. Look good on you.
You want to put on your note?
Everybody has a red nose.
Can I get one?
If any of you old, yeah, I was about to ask if any of you older children want one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no, the bell slipped.
Okay. I'll start the song the way I usually start it. And then when I get to the line about Rudolph, you guys join in, okay? Ready? You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, right? Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. Ah, but do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeers used to laugh and call him names. Sing with me. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, whoopee! Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Yay! Very good, guys. The noses are yours to keep.
Some are excited, huh?
I use them. Not use the arrows.
Want to see the pictures of them?
Yeah.
Of the reindeer?
Use that. Put it down.
They've gotten out of order. Just one moment, please.
Này là bỏ lên
Ah,
YouTube.
here we go.
Thì bỏ lên Facebook không là nó nổi nhiều quá.
You know, on the original reindeer team,
Facebook chỉ được 7 phút thôi à.
the first one was Dasher. Do any of you guys like to run? Well, that's why we
Hay quay
named
kênh
this
bớt qua
one
YouTube.
Dasher. He always wants to run everywhere he goes. In fact, if it were left up to him, the rest of the team would just stay exhausted trying to keep up with him. So we gave him a harness mate who was a little bit more laid back and sedate. And that's Dancer. Any of you guys like to dance?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we named her Dancer.
Đi
She
đi chụp
loves
hình
to
đi. Em
dance
bỏ lên
around.
YouTube cho bỏ này lên cho.
You like to dance?
And then behind Dancer, we have Prancer. Prancer, she's prancing around in the picture, you see. And her harness mate is Vixen. Now,
Let's make some.
Fox. It's just a name.
Arctic fox.
Well, similar, but it's just a name. Most names have meanings if you trace them back. But the name that we give things doesn't necessarily mean what they are. It's just a name we like. Now, who here has a best friend? Who's your best friend?
Nicholas, Vincent, and Dominic.
All right. Well, you see, there are two of the reindeer that are best friends. They not only are harness mates, but they do everything together. And that's Comet and Cupid. And then, behind Comet and Cupid, we have the two strongest reindeer. Who's strong in here?
Me.
You got, I'll bet you are. Well, the two strongest reindeer are Dunder and Blitzen.
Yes, I feel.
Now, in the song, they call him Donner, but his real name is Dunder.
Thunder.
What does that sound a little bit like, Dunder?
Thunder.
Thunder, and that's exactly what it means. Dunder means thunder, and Blitzen means lightning. Dunder und Blitzen, thunder and lightning. Now that other reindeer, what was his name again? Rudolph, yeah. You want to see Rudolph at night?
Oh.
Well, that's his nose, and the rest of him is behind his nose. You want to see the rest of him, don't you?
I'll see the rest of his body.
Whoops. There he is,
Where?
in all his red-nosed glory.
That's not
No.
That's not true.
Huh?
That's not true.
Don't you see his red nose?
Yeah. And he's a whole deer.
Have you ever seen out at night, especially in the summertime,
No.
an insect called a firefly or lightning bug?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they light.
It lights up, just like his nose lights up.
Maybe he uses it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who are you with?
Well, they don't get along too well with automobiles. So you know the forest, the woods that are about maybe a tenth of a mile in that direction, that's where they're parked at. Say, have you ever been outside at night and looked up in the sky and you could see a red light moving in the sky? Now, sometimes it's just an airplane. And when it's an airplane, you can usually hear the airplane sound. But sometimes it's Rudolph and I scouting things out and looking around to see who's naughty and who's nice. What do you think about that? Who knows what two lists Santa keeps? Naughty and nice. And what do children on the nice list get for Christmas? What do children on the naughty list get?
Socks.
That's it. I used to give coal or switches, but now I give dirty socks and underwear. Is that what you want for Christmas?
No.
It's not? Well, which list do you need to be on? Who in here? Yeah, who in here thinks there might be on the naughty list? Anyone? Oh, come here. Because I have something to settle it once and for all. Right here in my stocking. See, I keep my most special stuff here in the stocking. Don't be shy. Come on over here. I'm going to meet you. This is an elf-made bed. Merry Christmas! Santa's helper. Look sharp, man. You look sharp.
Oh, not a baby Santa. Oh. Oh.
Excellent. As I was starting to say, though, the elves tell me that this bell will ring, but you're on the nice list, but that it won't make a sound,
Chưa con vô đúng không?
but you're on the naughty list. So let's find out which list you're actually on.
Gia Linh luôn.
Okay? You have to take it. And you understand, if it rains for you, which list are you on? Nice list. And if it doesn't, what do you get for Christmas? Dirty socks.
Underwear, dirty socks.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What's wrong? Doesn't rain.
Does ring.
Get closer.
You know what I bet the problem is? It's cold outside, isn't it? I'll bet it's frozen. It got in the house, it was cold. We came in the house, and there's just enough moisture
Come here.
to make it freeze. Because things do that when you get cold, just like a rope. Just a rope like this, when it gets cold enough, can freeze solid. So when something freezes, you have to thaw it out.
How do you do that?
It froze. And then you thaw it out.
Wow. Wow.
This
It was frozen.
it's magic.
Now, why don't you take that and rub the end of it and see if you can blow on it maybe. See if you can warm it up.
Oh, the gift for you.
What about right there? This part. Hold your hand up. Hold your hand out. Like I see the problem. The elves made this for an adult-sized hand, not for your size. That's the problem. Let me help you hold it, and we'll see if it'll lean. Ready? All right, you are on the nice list after all. Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Woo. Do any of you guys like elves? Or at least the idea of elves? Let me tell you a story about a little boy named Robert. Robert loved elves. Now, he had never met one in person, but he just loved the idea of elves. Every program that came on television about elves, he would watch it. And every book he could find on elves. Well, when he was a little guy, he would get his mom to read it to him, and as he got older, he learned to read, and he would read them himself. He really loved elves. Now, Bobby, we called him Bobby a lot of times instead of Robert. Bobby had an older sister. And like a lot of older sisters, she thought Bobby was pretty silly. Well, one day, Bobby made the mistake of telling his sister Susie that when he grew up, he wanted to be an elf. And Susie looked at him the way only older sisters can look and said, "Bobby, don't be silly. You can't be an elf. You're a person, and you can never be anything other than that." But Bobby went right on wanting to be an elf. There were some things that bothered him, though. One of the books he had about elves said they only grew to be about a foot tall. And Bobby was already much taller than that. But other books said that elves might be 3 feet tall, 3.5, even 4 feet tall. So that was okay. But the one thing that really bothered him was that all the books he had and all the movies said that elves had pointed ears. And Bobby, well, he had regular person-shaped ears, just like you and I. So what he would do, every night when he went to bed, he would put his hand up here on his ear and try to hold it up to make it grow into a point overnight. And then, when he got up in the morning, first thing he would do, he would look in the mirror and see if he thought his ear looked any more pointed than it had been the night before. One day he was doing that, and Susie came along, and she said, "Bobby, what are you doing?" Bobby looked at her with a big smile and said, "Don't you think my ear is starting to have a point on it?" Susie looked at him the way that only older sisters can look at you and said, "Oh, please, Bobby, are we really related? You can't be an elf. You're a person, and you can never be anything other than that." But Bobby went on hoping, and he grew, just like every one of you guys is growing. Bobby passed 3 feet, 3 feet 6. He passed 4 feet, and he kept right on growing. And eventually, Bobby realized that he was too tall to ever be an elf. But that was okay. He found other stuff he liked. Bobby liked sports. Any of you guys like sports? What kind of sports do you like? Football, basketball, soccer. Anybody else? Any other sport? What kind do you like? Yeah. All right. Well, Bobby wasn't just a sports guy. He kept right on reading. He read everything he could find. He was smart with it too. Bobby, maybe most important of all, Bobby was a helper. He helped Mom and Dad at the house. He kept his room clean. Once he and his mom were at the mall, and they found a little girl who had wandered away from her parents. And he helped her to find her parents. He was a big help. And as he grew up, every now and then he would think back to when he wanted to be an elf, and he would sort of shrug his shoulders and say, "Wasn't I silly back then? I could never be an elf." Well, when he was a young man, one Christmas Eve, he went to bed because he was very tired and he slept. Oh, he slept so soundly until he woke up. Maybe because, you see, he was never really sure if he woke up or if he just had one of those dreams that's so lifelike that you think it's real life. But whichever it was, what Bobby thought was that Santa came to him. And Santa said to him, "Bobby,
No.
there was a time you wanted to be an elf. But you listened to what other people said. You listened to what other people said you could be and what you couldn't be. Bobby, that was a mistake. Let me tell you something about the elves at the North Pole that work with me. Every one of those elves is hard-working and fun-loving. They like sports. They're passionate. They're smart. Just like you. But as far as Santa is concerned, you don't have to hope to be an elf. As far as Santa is concerned, you are an elf. And with that, Bobby went back to sleep. If he was ever awake. Or maybe the dream just ended. He was never sure. But what he was sure of was that after that night, he was a very happy young man. Because he knew in his heart what he was, and he knew that he could be anything that his heart told him he could be. And you guys are just the same. You can be anything that your heart tells you you can be. Okay? All right. That's enough serious stories. Does anybody want to know? Does anybody know why there's a naughty list? Why? You forgot. Well, I'll tell you why. This happened a long time ago. How long ago?
1,000 years ago.
Something like that. It was even before the reindeer learned how to fly. Because they're not born knowing. They're just like birds. They have to learn. So, one night, we had been delivering toys, not just to the good boys and girls, but to all the boys and girls. And we had left one town and were on our way to another town to deliver more toys. But at this time, we were just out in the country. There were no houses, no street lights. And as we went along, well, by the way, I should tell you this too. It was not here. It was far in the north, where there's snow on the ground every Christmas. Not every day, but most of the winter. Because it starts snowing, October, November, and the ground, you don't see the ground again until April sometimes, even May maybe. Well, we were going along, and I happened to look behind me. Now, you know how when it snows, even if it's dark, you can see a little bit from the light that's reflected by the snow? Well, that's the way it was that night. So I happened to look behind me, and I could see something behind my sleigh. And I really couldn't tell what it was. There wasn't enough light. But the only thing I could imagine was that it was someone else in another sleigh trying to catch up to Santa. So I said, oh no, we're not going to have that. I've got the fastest reindeer team anywhere. So I slapped the reins and I called them out by name. I said, on Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Dunder and Blitzen. You see, this was before Rudolph came along. And those reindeer were running so fast. And I just knew we had outrun whoever that was behind me. So I looked back and they were still there. Well, this time I called out to the team and I cracked the whip. And I said, run fast, my beauties. Run just as fast as you can. They were galloping. Their legs were moving so fast, they were just a blur. I couldn't even tell that their hooves were touching the ground. In fact, maybe they started learning to fly a little bit that night. Yeah. That's a story for later, okay?
I think you're invisible.
Well, this time I pulled back on the reins. Whoa! Stop! And I got up out of the sleigh. And I said, all right, whoever you are and whatever you're up to, come here and explain yourself to Santa. You know what I heard him reply? No one said a word. So I said, all right, if you won't come to me, I'll come to you. And I started back there, but I'd only gone a few steps when I tripped on something and I fell face first in the snow. Have any of you guys ever fallen in the snow? It's cold, isn't it? Especially if you get snow down your collar. Well, I got up. I was embarrassed. But I got up and I started dusting myself off. And I saw that I had tripped and fallen over a rope. Here's what happened. Some naughty, mischievous little boy, or maybe little girl, I don't know. Someone had tied one end of a rope to my sleigh. And the other end was tied to a big, empty box. There wasn't anyone behind me at all. I was just dragging an empty box, and my imagination did the rest. But I decided that night that from then on there was going to be a naughty list. And only children on the nice list would get toys for Christmas. Okay? So, you guys, we decided you're all on the nice list today, right? What do you think? Okay, good for you. What do you think we should do next? Well, I'll tell you what I know about that. And that's not a whole lot. Because I can't explain why a lot of things. Did you know that aeronautical engineers have studied bumblebees? You know what a bumblebee is, right? And they have concluded that it's aerodynamically impossible for a bumblebee to fly. Well, the bumblebee doesn't know it's impossible, so he just goes right on flying. Maybe it's the same way with reindeer. I do know this, though. Every animal that's in the deer family eats much the same thing. They eat grass. They eat hay. They love treats like carrots and oats. They even will eat tender young leaves. But reindeer eat one thing that nothing else in the deer family will eat. A special type of moss. Have you ever seen a tree down at the bottom of the tree, sort of thick greenish stuff growing? Have you ever noticed that? That's moss. And sometimes moss, a different type of moss, is sort of grayish and hangs down from the limbs of trees. Reindeer will eat fast, but no other member of the deer family will. And they can fly, so
Phim này hơi dài.
Không, cái anh phải ngắt có không không post được không?
Không, bỏ lên YouTube. Lên YouTube bỏ lên. Lên YouTube xong rồi bỏ lên Facebook.
Chụp đẹp chưa? Trời ơi.
Không chừng chỉnh sửa nha.
Sao mà em đang lùn mà mặt cao quá nha.
Ok, anh
Có thể chụp cao mà đẩy xuống lùn được, cái lùn đi.
Đẹp quá. Ly vô giữa. There you go. Đẹp nha. One,
now this key,
two.
this first key, this fits all the locks at the North Pole. It fits my house. I'm sorry?